Hi, everyone. Welcome to DomainSherpa. Today is an episode of Down the Rabbit Hole with the Rabbit Hole Gang talking about NFTs. We have a few new faces, namely Jess and Chad, joining Alan, Josh, Shane, and me. We talk a lot about punks, TopShots, Cool Cats, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, Atom Bomb Squad, art blocks, and much more. We also highlight some things we just bought and new projects we're excited about. All of this is about to happen right now on Down the Rabbit Hole here on DomainSherpa, so let's go.
It don't matter what you say, ain't no way that you messing with my team today. It don't matter what you do, I will not lose.
What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. I am Jonathan Tenenbaum, aka JT, aka Jay On, and I am the host and producer of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today's show is a Down the Rabbit Hole with the Rabbit Hole Gang, because as we say on Domain Sherpa, all roads lead to domains. But in the reverse, our work in domains and digital assets has us venturing all the time into different areas. One area that we've been spending a whole lot of time, as everybody knows, are both crypto and NFTs. And today is an NFT show, and we have some really special guests. So for those of you who are trying to figure out in advance whether you want to stick around, if you're here for the domain content, you may want to wait till the next one. If you want anything to do with NFTs, which I think you all should, then this is definitely the place to be and where you want to be. So with that, let me go ahead and introduce my guests. I'm going to start at my right, and then I'm going to go kind of down and around and do it that way. So first things first, I got my boy Shane Culture, aka Sugar Shane, aka Honey Shane, aka Mike Rowe. What's up? I'm not even going to give the co-hosts and the regular guests too much of an intro other than the AKAs. But Shane, what's happening, man? How you doing?
Doing great. It's a good time of year for me. Fall, cool weather. I'm tired of this heat, so
yeah,
I smile a I'm not sweating to death.
Yeah, no doubt. It's actually even cooling off a little bit here in Florida, although we're still a couple of weeks away from like the cool weather. You know what I mean? But all right. Well, that's what's up. Well, thank you for being here. All right.
That's called outside, everybody. That's outside. I actually go outside just to let you know
grass.
what that means when I talk about the weather. That's what you see out your window.
Get outside and touch some grass. I like it. All right, cool. Well, then we got two really special guests, Rabbit Hole Gang homies from the Discord. The first time on the show, starting first down to my lower right, we got my boy Jess Chhura, aka Jess Curry, aka Jess Starberry, aka JC Knicks Tape. What's happening, man? How are you?
Love it. I'm loving the Knicks references. Only OGs know the Starberry reference.
Yeah, man. Well, I know that's your squad, and I know the NBA is your thing. So real quick intro for Jess. He's a collector, builder, educating others on the NFT space. Previously worked on creating branding opportunities for Twitch content creators, Netflix shows, a couple of fun startups, passionate about basketball and the ability to uplift youth and entire communities. Part of that journey led him to NBA TopShots, which is one of his favorite NFT platforms. We are going to talk NBA TopShots today. I'm excited about that. It's a project I haven't really spent a lot of time. I mean, I have some general understanding, but I got lots of questions, my dude. And then obviously into the rest of the metaverse. So with that, welcome to the show, dude.
Thank you. You're missing out on Top Shot. We have to get you in ASAP.
I know, man. Well, it's going to happen, especially because we're going to come up on the season. I'm all about it. So, and then below me, we got my boy Chad Fisher, aka the Fisher King, aka the Honey Badger, aka Chadwick Boss Man. You know what I'm saying? So Chad runs a very successful e-commerce business. He's also very heavy, into NFTs, including TopShots. And, we met Chad and Jess through Alan, part of our Discord. So, Chad, welcome to the show, man. Really happy to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks. This is great. It's sort of went down the proverbial rabbit hole late last summer, fall, and it's been the last year feels like a decade.
Yeah, well, that's what's up. So the reason I said the Honey Badger is because the last name Fisher, right? I don't know if folks know, but in the Pacific Northwest, the Fisher is kind of like a competitor to the Honey Badger, right? And it's literally the Honey Badger is super badass. I read an article, talk about going down a rabbit hole, right? I went down the Fisher hole, you know what I'm saying? And about how the Fisher is just as badass. It might even be more badass than the Honey Badger.
I'll take it.
So, all right. So keeping it moving, we got my boy Alan Dunn. That way, aka Bill Gates, aka Gandalf. Everybody knows Alan by now. I don't even have to give you that much of an intro. What's up, my man? How are you?
Good, man. What's going on?
Just living the NFT dream, son.
Yeah, I love this stuff.
And then last but certainly not least, we got my boy Josh Reason, aka Bjorn Borg, aka Harry Kane, aka Super Ball. You know what I'm
What's
saying?
this one? What's this one? AKA what?
That's a new one.
Super Bowl, man. It's because you're always bouncing around project to project, man. You know what I'm saying? I didn't call you paper hands. You know what I'm saying? Like
Bouncing around, not getting any of the gains, but just giving all the alpha. I love it.
all the alpha, none of the gains. What's up? Anyway, so that's what's happening.
Even when you're selling at a loss, you're contributing to the community.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. I'm not in it for me. I'm in it for you guys.
He's like the dog that pees on the good spot, so you know where to go next time.
That's it. Just follow his tracks in the snow.
Just follow his tracks. There's money there. He's left it for you.
So that is definitely what's up. And speaking of NFTs, I got my Bored Ape Yacht Club hundreds merch. You know what I'm saying? I got the sweatshirt. I got the t-shirts. I actually got 2 of the blue sweatshirts, 2 of the blue t-shirts. I got the black shirts, the one that were the BAYC merch drop. And so I'm opening one of each and then saving one of each. So I'm going to try to do my Sugar Shane thing where I hold on to some of it and don't wear it.
I haven't even opened the boxes from the original merch drop. I got some black hats, some red hats, some shirts.
You think you do. You think you do. You haven't even opened the boxes. You don't know, man. You know,
it could be just a letter saying, sorry, we ran out.
We ran out. But give us a call within 30 days and we'll give you your money back.
Exactly. Like, that's right. Or actually, we hand sewn a shirt for you if you just let us know. I never opened it.
Exactly. So all good stuff. So we're going to talk some Bored Apes, but I think more importantly, since we do have some TopShots experts, I really want to get into that. So we got a lot of topics, and I mean, because NFT time moves literally at the speed of light, it's so much happens so fast. There's definitely a lot of stuff to talk about. It's been a good week and change since we talked last week. We were tied up with the NamesCon conference for all our domain maxis. You know, I was emceeing the NamesCon conference, which was a great show. We had a lot of fun. So that was tying us up, and now we're back getting our record on. So with that, so let's talk to Jess and Chad. And so you guys jumped into TopShots. You know, how long ago? Like, when did you start? How did you start? You know, we don't need crazy amount of detail, but just give the general idea of like, were you already into NFTs and then TopShots came around? You're like, oh, this is dope, or was that like sort of the gateway drug for you guys into the space in the first place?
I'll start, Jess, and then you can chime in. So I had been hanging out in the Punks Discord since October of last year. And so in December, Pranksy had been talking a lot about TopShot. He just kept chatting up in the punk. Everybody in the Punks Discord was like, nah, we're not interested. There was sort of this whole ETH versus flow discussion where a lot of people just just a lot of the OGs that were in there, they weren't interested in flow because it's a closed system. So they're like, no, I don't want to do that. But Pranksy kept talking about it. And I think it was New Year's, like December 31st. I eventually was like, okay, whatever. So I jumped in and I started opening packs, and I was like, this is a lot of fun. Like I just kept loaded the credit card so much that I think that my bank shut it down, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get. And then eventually I called the bank and I started, and I think for S1 I must have bought like 200 or 300 packs just in that first couple of days, because I was like, and they were only like $9 or something like that.
And so S1 is season 1.
Season 1. Yeah,
that's what's up.
It was because it was about to close like mid-January. I think it closed like or sometime in the first couple of weeks of January. But I'm like, oh, this is fun. Like, and they just started grabbing packs and open it. But yeah, Jess, you can go ahead and chime in.
No, I was gonna say that was back when you can buy unlimited packs. So that was
exactly. Like that stopped being an option, sometime in probably end of January.
Yeah, I got in around February, and I think I'm kind of unique in the sense that TopShot was my introduction to NFTs, but also it was my first involvement in blockchain in general. Mm-hmm. I knew about crypto and I understood the potential of it, but I wasn't really ready for it in terms of like the financial end. But like NFTs are big for me because they kind of give off a cultural signal. And since basketball has been a big thing for me my whole life, I heard about TopShot back in February it was either a tweet from Mark Cuban or an NBA journalist who was like, I'm having a really cool experience collecting on this platform. And as more and more I looked into it, for me, I wasn't familiar with what was going to be the best blockchain for me. For me, the big pull was that I could spend fiat and not have to convert any of my money into crypto because I wasn't familiar with any of that end. And as someone who was passionate about NBA, I could have a collector experience like right off the bat by just swiping my card for like $150 LeBron James moment.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's interesting. I have not gotten into Top Shots yet, but I'm kind of almost surprised at that just because, I used to collect cards back in the day, and like, there's no question there is a real bridge, obviously, between, old school physical card collecting and Top Shots, right? I mean, it's probably the most direct line, you know what I mean? I think when I started looking at it was maybe when they started having like the queues and the drops, and like you'd have to get in the line queue, and then you still would, you wouldn't get them. And like, it was like, and we see that now in drops all the time. I mean, how hard it is to mint right at the drop for almost all these projects. So, that's become kind of par for the course. Is it still kind of like that system? So where are we at, right? Let's talk about that. Where are we at right now? So we're in between seasons. So right now moments are available, but are they releasing new stuff still, or are they waiting till the next season starts before they start dropping new stuff?
So they released a few summer league moments from a few of the games that took place with the rookies and a few of the players that are trying out for teams still. And now they've kind of started releasing WNBA moments. So they're opening up the market to a whole new, whole new type of buyer, people who are into WNBA. And it gives people to earn moments that have a Top Shot debut badge, which is a specific player's first moment on the platform. So regardless of when it took place, if that was your first moment that was available on that platform, there's a badge. So technically, every single WNBA moment coming in right now has that badge. So
it's almost like a rookie card, a rookie card kind of thing. That's dope. And they were like Top Shots NBA, they had like was it kiosks at the summer league games that they had?
That was cool. So I was in it just for the moments because I thought it was really cool to collect moments. And I used to speculate about the utility that they could possibly introduce, but then they started introducing moments that you can only buy if you were at the game. And then they had a certain experience for Phoenix Suns collectors who had a really high collector score, and they picked random ones, flew them out to the NBA finals, and they had like their own Top Shot suite. They got to meet some of the players. They had like a shopping spree. So that opened up my mind. I was like, they can do this with every single team in every single arena. It's not just one game. They can do this every single game and just have like a Top Shot suite in every single arena. So I was like, I need to start buying Knicks moments and Nets moments for like stuff that I can actually attend. Even like Philly moments, so I can drive over there. So that was cool.
Yeah, Philly.
It's funny. Someone said this to me the other day, and it wasn't related to basketball, but I can entirely relate to this now. Is that the whole Top Shot thing? A lot of people think it's like collector cards or whatever, but from a publisher standpoint, it's probably the greatest direct access to your most loyal fans. Like you have the database. I mean, Ticketmaster has the database. They're not sharing it with the Phoenix Suns or whoever. So I mean, like this is direct. Like you just said, Jess. You can literally find the top collectors' wallets and send them invitations. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's super dope. So tell me this though, as far as trading and value and all that kind of stuff, like right now, having Top Shot, like are prices up? Is it the kind of thing, is the market like, does the market move a lot? Is it relatively stable? Like what is there opportunity to make money trading these at the moment? Like what
there was kind of a lull, and feel free to jump in anytime, Chad. There's kind of a lull in the spring when newer NFTs came out. Bored Ape started blowing up. Other projects that people who were into Top Shot realized that they could make money elsewhere. So there's kind of like a slow period, but now things are looking up because Series 3 is coming out. A lot of new collectors are coming in because they want the physical experience. They realize they might attend a game and then buy a moment that was only available at the game and then sell that moment. And they just had a whole NBA experience for free. So this is essentially like the NBA's currency in a way. So the more moments you have for your team, like the more loyalty you're showing in a way, like Alan said, to that brand or that team that you're collecting.
There was a thing I thought initially though too, where because it was on Flow, you couldn't take a cash out, right? Like if you made money selling Top Shots, it was sort of like stuck there. Like how is that still a thing?
When you got in, so the early folks, all the way through December, January, I didn't get my first cash out until March. And that was for a lot of people. And some people was actually into April, just depending. It was like about a 2 to 3 months. Some people even 4 month lag.
Okay.
To actually get a cash out. And a lot of it was just they were overwhelmed, right? I mean, when I joined in December, there was like 300 people in the Discord, maybe 400, and then they've obviously blown up to tens of thousands. And back to your earlier question about, how it's kind of gone in terms of demand and just the value. I mean, everything spiked up, and it actually reached its high point at end of February, just because there was so much demand and there wasn't enough moments. Like they had only finished series 1 and then season 2 had just started. But since then, the supply has increased dramatically. And so series 2 had all the way. So if you go from March to now, they only stopped series 2 about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So now it's actually not a bad time, because it's kind of been like it went up and then it's sort of like crashed down, but it's kind of like starting to tick back up in anticipation, as Jess said, of series 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just like NFTs in general, people starting to realize that 40,000 of a Top Shot moment is not really that much when you realize that there's millions of NBA fans out there who are willing to collect. So.
Oh, for sure. And Shane, did you buy any Top Shots? I mean, I know Adam
Yeah,
Strong was.
Adam Strong is hat tip to Adam. He in December was texting every night saying, you got to check this out. So I bought a bunch of, I shouldn't say bought, I probably bought only 2 or 3 packs, but it was literally one of the first hundreds of people that were buying Top Shot. So I didn't even look at it. And then he texted me one night, hey, your packs are worth like $3,000. I go, how do you know how much my packs are worth? He goes, oh, you use an app and it tells you how much your stuff is. So I went back after not going on. I went back maybe in February, and I hadn't been on for a couple of months. And I was like, damn, these things are worth something. So I started playing around with it. But the reason I've made so much money from Top Shots is not because I made it in Top Shots. It's because once they started making it more difficult to get things, like you had to have player scores and, they're rewarding the people that were active, it's too much work for me. But then I see Bored Apes come out and I think, okay, there's only 10,000 Bored Apes. That's literally one card in Top Shot. I mean, that's one card. And yet there's hundreds and thousands of cards in Top Shots, and these things are going for it. So if you break that down to one card in every bit, Bored Apes are going to be worth a lot of money. So I bought Bored Apes thinking that's much more scarce than anything, any card out there. So that's what convinced me that maybe move from Top Shots to NFTs, because each NFT literally is a card. And now it's a quarter of a card if you're doing a 40,000 run on something. Yeah. So
that's interesting.
That's how I've looked at it, is if you want scarcity, the individual NFT projects are small versions of cards. So it really worked for me. And I kudos to Top Shot. It's what got me into NFTs. And
that's one of the best perspectives I've heard.
Yeah, that's I like that a lot. And
Alan, you sound shocked.
No.
Alan's like, since you started talking about a chain, I went and I bought 10,000 moments.
Exactly.
What's unique about it is that like the hollows are so scarce that we consider them kind of like the Bored Apes of Top Shot. And then the other levels like rare and common are kind of like fractionalized pieces, and they're less important moments. And hollow will be like the best moments in NBA history. So if you really are looking to collect a top tier thing, you would come in from the top and collect hollow, which I believe are only 99 of each moment. So I guess if you multiply that with how many hollow there are, it's not a bad way to start. And I think they've kind of given off the signal that they will be the whole, like the grail of Top Shot moving forward, like legendary moments and hollow moments.
Well, and Dapper Labs, who runs the Top Shots, like, they know what they're doing. And at the end of the day, I think, they seem to be pretty well on the pulse of just the NFT space and trends and stuff in general. So I think they'll, that it would kind of stand to reason that they'll, have that pretty well covered strategically for everybody. So collector scores means the more active you are, the higher your collector score. And then that gave you some sort of preferential treatment as far as being able to get new stuff as it drops. Is that how that works?
Right, and they've built it in a way that you can finish challenges to complete collector score. You can only build around your specific team. So if you've completed your the New York Knicks bonus or the Sixers bonus, you would get a bigger bonus because you completed all of the players from Series 2 that were available for that. So they've built different ways to approach it. You can go for players that you like, you can go for teams that you like. So they're still building and learning, but the challenges are my favorite thing in my opinion.
And what do the challenges require? Like, what's that like?
So they'll ask you to quote unquote deposit, let's say like 8 moments for 7 days, and then you'll get one rewarded to you if you just leave it. So it's their way of staking.
Staking, got it. Okay, cool. And then Chad, so I know you're a Knicks fan, Jess. Chad, who's your team?
Well, it was the Sonics, but now they're gone. So
Yeah.
I don't really follow a particular team. I guess, I mean, Portland is the closest geographically.
Okay.
Definitely not Oklahoma City, since they stole.
Yeah, fuck them. So
Exactly.
but so no doubt. All right, well, that's what's up. So right now, all right, so let's close this up and then we'll segue into some other stuff. But so right now, if I'm trying to get into Top Shots, the recommendation is, I mean, obviously everybody's got a strategy based on their risk tolerance and how much capital they have available, but it would be to go onto the site and try to like pick a couple moments that either I like or, fit whatever the strategy would be. Like, hey, I'm going to start by, I want to buy I'm a Sixers fan. Ben Simmons is giving me a lot of heartburn lately. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Ben, come on back so that we can fucking trade you, bro. Anyway, but Joel Embiid is the truth. Anyway, so I'd go maybe decide, okay, I'm going to grab Sixers or I'm going to grab players that I like, and then just kind of start dabbling that way. I mean, is there like, maybe go try to grab, like if I was going to spend real money, like how much is a hollow moment right now? Like, and that's
Really
a hologram, right?
Yeah, it really depends on the player. I was lucky enough to pull Serial 1 Malcolm Brogdon hollow out of a pack.
Okay.
But that's considered like the cheapest hollow there is, I think. So it's kind of like a gift and a curse to own that.
Yeah, sure.
But there's like, you can go all the way up to like 100,000 and get like maybe a LeBron James hollow of his like Kobe tribute dunk or like something special. So it really varies on like where you want to spend.
Yeah, I mean, packs is probably the easiest way to get involved. But you can, I mean, there's, as Jess said, you can go look to hollow, but you can get common cards. You can start pretty easy, but packs are the easiest way just because it's like, it's pretty affordable and you've got a shot at a really good card or moment.
And so you're buying packs now. At this point, are you buying packs from the store or are you buying them from other collectors who've got them in drops?
Well, there's not an easy way yet to get them from other collectors. There will be. That's one of the things that they're going to add. But for now, you just want to get it in a drop.
Okay. So, all right, cool. And are drops still happening though? Or are we like? So...
Yeah. There was one earlier late last week, and they're a couple a week maybe.
Okay, cool.
Daryl Morey's a fellow Ape. You should talk to him about the Ben Simmons situation, JT.
I know he's struggling, man. I don't know if he knows how to solve this. You know what I mean? Like, he's a smart dude and, he seems like a good guy and he's obviously active in NFTs and everything. But, Simmons played so poorly in the playoffs and I support Ben Simmons. I mean, jokes aside, like, he's extremely talented and, but I think he's got now his people around him telling him, hey, don't show up. And he's a little bit bitter because, I think just, the Philly fans are not easy, but, his performance wasn't great. That's a hard balance. I mean, for me, look, I think anybody that's tweeting or, trying to message NBA players telling them to jump off a bridge because they played bad in a basketball game, they should be the ones taking the leap. But, but it's also, hard. You get passionate fans who want to see players, especially in Philly. They want them to be passionate like they are. And, Ben's got kind of a sort of a laid back sort of style. And he didn't look great in that Atlanta series, man. I don't know how he fits in it, as we're trying to keep it moving. So
You're being kind. He was horrible.
Well, I still got to be, I'm still a fan, what I'm saying? I got love for dude, but I do think, he's got, Rich Paul, right, as his representation. He probably wants to be out in LA anyway. What we need to do is flip him to Portland and bring, Dame time to Philly. That's what we need to do, man.
I support it.
Although I can't imagine Portland would make that move. I'll take McCollum too. It's all good. But anyway, all right, so let's not turn this into sports stuff. Although, speaking of sports and hoops, we did interview Chris Jenkins on DomainSherpa a couple months ago, talking about his special shot and as he's trying to segue into NFTs. So for those of you who have not checked that out yet, check it out. We got it on our YouTube channel. Speaking of our YouTube channel, we just recently started publishing some of the old archive shows of DomainSherpa. So for all you domains folks, we got some of that old content that started when Media Options acquired DomainSherpa. We're going to end up going all the way back. At some point, our entire library will be available there, as well as the newer shows. So check that out when you get a chance. And then really quick, we're going to take a quick break to let our sponsors jump in, which is really just a Media Options commercial. Talk our pump out so we can pump our bags, and then we're gonna be right back here on DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains, and we're gonna keep talking NFTs here with the Rabbit Hole Gang. We'll be right back.
Let's get Media Options is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, Media Options offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. Media Options believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. DomainSherpa down the rabbit hole with the Rabbit Hole Gang. We talking NFTs. We talking TopShots. We actually just covered TopShots for a while. So let's segue into some other things and some other stuff. You know, one thing Chad said that I thought was really interesting, talking about how he got into TopShots in the first place, was Pranksy on the Punks Discord. You know, one of the things I think that's an underrated aspect of utility when it comes to punks. You know, so talking about that a little bit is like, you know, because people talk a little bit about how, you know, punks, if you look at their terms, you know, there's maybe this limit at 100K if you're going to use them for some sort of commercial, you know, like enterprise or whatever. Whereas for Bored Apes, it's unlimited. You know, one of the things we love about the Bored Apes, but one of the most underrated aspects of utility when it comes to punks is really just the network. You know what I mean? And like the ability to get all that access to all that alpha in those discords, you know, would you guys agree? I mean, is that, I mean, at least that's what I've seen in, you know, interfacing with some of y'all like that, you know? So,
yeah, I'll start. For me, you know, when I bought my first one in November of last year, and I had 3 at one point. I've only got my 1 now, and it's sort of a bittersweet having 1 because there's no way I'm ever going to sell it. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like, I was talking to Alan about this. It's the key for me to, and now that I'm in private Discord servers, that unlocks, you know, it's kind of the analogy I use is when I started last year, it was a room, there was a mansion full of 64 rooms, and you walk in the first room, there's 30 people in there, and you try to figure out, how do I get to that next room? And then eventually, how do you get to the next room? And one of the biggest keys for me was, how do I have the, you know, sort of the equity to have not only people take me seriously, but also just to be with a bunch of like-minded people. Now, there's all sorts of other PFP projects that have, you know, exploded and are super popular. But for me, it's that social capital that comes with it is, it's priceless. I literally, I couldn't sell it if I wanted to. And I now want, obviously, another 1 or 2, but the prices have, you know, gone up pretty dramatically, like everything. So.
Yep. And we talked about that too with some of the other Rabbit Hole Gang guys who we got, like James Booth, who has, like, you know, had the Gold Ape and some other things. So it's sort of like a similar kind of situation where even within the Bored Ape Yacht Club, you know, you've got, you know, groups that are only accessible depending on the type of ape that you have. So, you know, if you've got special and rare type of thing, like, or a certain number of apes, you know, put you in the room where, you know, because it's a combination. It's like you have other, like you said, like-minded, successful, you know, sort of, you know, people that are on the same page that, you know, and in a lot of ways, these are the influencers and the tastemakers who help projects moon in the first place, because some of those people, by them being involved, and once they sort of let the world know that they're in, you know, you see that happen with some of these other projects. So that alone is like worth a lot of, like, there's a ton of value there. Plus, I think it's also cutting down on some of the noise. You know what I mean? When you go into some of the, sort of call them the common rooms of these Discord servers for these different projects, it's so like noisy. You know what I mean? You can't cut through the bullshit. And there is some gatekeeping that is necessary at times, because you also have people that come in and just want to fuck around and shit post and stuff like that, but are not doing it in a way to even necessarily be funny. It's like annoying, right? And it's like, or there's so many people saying so much stuff, and it's like you can't even like have an actual conversation or glean any real information. And I, you know, look, I got a day job. I joke about it a lot, that it's like I got actual work to do. I can't spend all day trying to parse through half of these Discords to even figure out what's going on, and, you know, making sure I'm not missing deadlines on projects I'm already in, how to figure out if I want to get more involved in projects that I think are interesting, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think without a doubt, I think, like you said, the punks as a key to that special sort of, you know, that special access, I think is really important. And it's like, it does almost get you to that final room. You know, there's a Frasier episode, since you're talking about, you know, Seattle, I'll throw out a Frasier reference, where they want to get access to this day spa because his neighbor gets the invite in the mail, and he intercepts the mail, and they go there, and him and Niles not knowing what it is. And there continue to be different areas in the day spa that like you can't get access to unless first it's like you're in the regular spot, and then there's the gold room, and then there's the platinum room. You know what I mean? And it's like, and as they're in the gold room, they're like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And then they see there's another room and they're like, this sucks if we can't get in there. You know what I mean? And it's like, till finally the last door that they go out actually takes them out by the dumpster, because it actually is the door to the outside. But they're like, you know, the relaxation grotto, like we got to get there. And they think it's so special. And then they realize, but there is something to be said to be able to get into, especially when there's real value, and we're all limited in our time. Right. I mean, so at the end of the day, like when you're spending time, like you want to be interfacing with people that, kind of vibe, where you're getting value, and at least on a social level, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Cause like I said, some of these other Discords are so noisy and busy. It's just a big old waste of time. So, but go ahead, Alan, you go. See, I can't hear you, so I'm just gonna. I'll mouth you. You want me to just do your words for you? I love the Rabbit Hole Gang. JT's the best. I'm so thankful and glad.
I get upset because Farmer's got his nice.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no,
ahead,
I plugged in a new mic, but apparently it's not working. No, I think the social capital of these top tier ones are so underrated. I mean, I compare it to real life. Like you're in Florida, JT. I mean, there's lots of golf clubs, golf memberships, and all this stuff. And I remember calling up one and just to get a membership, and it was like $65,000 initiation or something. I had no interest in paying that much, but then when you sit down and think about it, you're like, well, this actually makes sense for people that are kind of in that real category. And the social capital is to reduce the noise and stuff like. Yeah, it's incredible. I haven't taken advantage of it because I usually ask Chad for some help. But
I've lived. Yeah, as a quick interjection, Alan. Like I'll go back to you, but that's probably the best. In terms of my time, it was a lot of work, but living in that Punks Discord from end of November until the spring of this year, and then connecting with a lot of people from the early times is I cannot replicate that time of my life, and in terms of like the connections that you can make, and it's still there, like, and it's spread, right? Where before it was very much centralized in Punks, now it's happening all over in tons of other Discords. Sorry, Alan.
No. You actually brought up a really good point, because I think there's 3 steps to this, right? Like you were in the OG generation, and it was much easier to talk to Pranksy and all these people. I mean, there was such a limited crowd. And now, now we're at a stage where there's a lot more people, and it's still relatively easy to connect with people. But you fast forward 6 months to a year from now. I mean, I'm starting not to respond to DMs. I can only imagine what people with tens of thousands of followers have shut down. So it does remind me, going back to the domain names, like in early 2000, maybe 5 or 6 with Monty's conferences, like. We all knew the people there. There's 200 or 300 people, whatever. Now you go to NamesCon, there's 1,000 people or 2,000. You only want to talk to about 200, right? So
or 2.
We're at
200
or 20.
20, yeah, 13.
But
in recent years.
We're at that second stage where you capitalize on the opportunity to kind of just be nice and connect with people, and not want something, but actually just share information. You can actually build an incredible network. I don't think it's going to be possible without a lot more work in 6 months.
Yeah, and I do think the influencers, within the space will get, harder and harder to not just connect with, but they'll also, kind of evolve in that way too. And maybe not all in good ways, as folks get a little bit, sort of big headed and things like that. But that's just, but you see that in anything where people have success, and, because you not forget, but, one underrated aspect is a lot of these folks who have had, we kind of came into this space after already having success in domain names and just in whatnot. But, you've got a sort of a younger crowd, like all the young kids, like Jess's age, you know what I'm saying, who've come up like, and are making crazy money in JPEGs that they never made before. And, are becoming sort of like the, sort of the new wave into themselves, which, there are interesting social dynamics involved with that, and
I think for us, one of the biggest things was like social utility that we get. It used to be tougher to carry around like a valuable asset that maybe you wanted to give off a signal to others. You know, it was a physical thing that you had to take. Maybe if you were traveling to a different country, you wouldn't necessarily carry your paintings with you. But now if you have a really expensive Chromie or Fidenza, you can show it off to somebody anywhere in the world, wherever you're sitting, with like verification of the blockchain behind it. I think one of the biggest bridges to this was Instagram. People used to show off there, but this kind of gives that extra bit of verification. Like, I really do own this. I'm not just taking a picture of this and just showing to you, like, this is mine.
Yeah,
So
well,
that'd be like the new, like,
the new flex, you know. Well, Gary V, I saw a little clip that he was talking about where they were like, you know, what, you know, why would people care so much? Like, you know, it's, you know, just flex in the real world, you know, versus in the digital world. It's like, it's actually easier to show off in the digital world, because now, just like you said, like if I'm wearing a Rolex, I only see the people that I see. Yeah, I can Instagram it, you know, but then you've got Instagram influencers who you find out are like renting, you know, not even like they're literally getting it. They're running onto an airstrip and jumping on a private plane, taking a quick selfie, and then running off before security gets to them. And, you know, this is actually an easier way for people to flex these things. And as they become more aware, or just, you know, more like broadly out there in, you know, in the purview of everybody, like, you know, the apes and the punks and all that kind of stuff, you know, they carry even more weight and even more of a flex. So when people are like, oh, you can right click and all that kind of nonsense and all that, and there's no utility in these JPEGs, I mean, there's no question that there is that, you know, that social utility, which, you know, going everything from access to special, like, you know, information. And I mean, and soon you look at the Bored Ape Yacht Club 2.0 roadmap, you know, they're going to have that IRL, you know, club in Miami. I can't wait to see how that's going to play out. It's like, you know, you get VIP access. Like, you know, I'm gonna be crashing at Alan's house, even if he's not even there, just so I can go, you know, go to that spot.
Dude,
you don't need to. You don't need to. You'll be able to crash at the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Get a room. That would also be crazy too. So we'll see. We'll see how a lot of that goes. So no, I'm with it. So let's segue then into to talk a little bit about some of these other projects, because I think it's good to kind of let people know some of the things that we're into and what you know, that seems to be one of the things we get a lot of feedback about the show. Like, hey, this project you were talking about, that project. So one that I think I want to bring up is Creature, right? Is everybody here like down? Like you know, I think Shaq just aped in yesterday, and that was a pretty big deal. So it's like, and he also bought a mutant. But like, what do you know about Danny Cole and this whole project and all this stuff? Because it's like, I have one and I like my Creature, and he's got like the whole Creature team behind him, and it's raining. Shit's definitely kind of like, you know, abstract. What do you think?
I personally love it. When it first came out, I bought a few of the rears, and but it was one of the only purchases I've made in the last couple months where, so one of them was for this small group that I managed money for, and it was the first PFP, for example. I guess you could call it that for this. It was the first one that they came back and they said, "This is beautiful. I would actually hang this on my wall." So there's art, there's real art to it. I actually really love it. And when he came out with an airdrop a couple of days ago, and kind of like you have to put a feature set, a creature set. I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential here. It's cool. I like it.
Anybody else have thoughts on that one?
No, I mean, it just didn't. That's the beauty of NFTs, is some things just don't resonate with you, and you know, you miss out and it becomes popular. But I don't have any problems with things like that. It didn't catch my attention. I didn't think it was that special, and I skipped it and moved on. But that's what's beautiful about this. There's another one right behind the corner that does. And
no, it's so true.
Yeah. So I don't have any qualms about missing out on anything.
Yeah, no doubt.
I never even heard of it. So
yeah.
Oh, well, you'll buy two and sell them by tomorrow. I like Creature a lot. Like I said, I've got one, and and I got the playground, like the little mushroom playground thing, the drop, whatever came out a couple days ago. And I thought that was pretty dope too. And there's just there's a really interesting kind of cool sort of vibe with that, where it's like, it is almost abstract art coupled with a PFP project, and like, with just some other stuff coupled in. So I think that one's pretty neat. And I think that's going to continue to roll. I think you make an interesting point, Shane. I don't really FOMO too much on projects that I don't jump into. Like, I'm pretty good about, like, the Lazy Lions are blowing up right now. And not that I don't care, but like, I don't feel a certain way, like, oh man, because I wasn't ever at a point where I was like, yo, I want to buy one. You know what I mean? Like, so I was never really there. The ones that drive me crazy are the joints that I either buy into and then sell too soon, or that I'm like right about to buy. And then like, I'm like, I'm going to come back later. And then the floor's gone up and I'm like, oh, now I'm out. One of the ones that's killing me right now is Cool Cats, because I think cool cats are so dope. I had a really cool cat and I bought it for like 0.7 ETH or 0.75 ETH. And I had it listed for like 2.75 for a while. Like I didn't even think about it. You know, it was one of those, like, as soon as I bought it, I put it up. I said, if I can make 2 Ether off of this, like, great. You know, at the time, ETH was almost $4,000, like whatever. And then it sold during a run up, like when the floor was lava, you know what I mean? And then I was like, and then I think it was even during maybe the time when like the mutants dropped. So it was like, there was all this other stuff happening. So I didn't even think much about it, but I have ghosts. So I got the ghost shirt. So I got the cool cat shirt with the -1 cool cat, you know what I'm talking about, with the outline and everything. So so now the floor has gone absolutely crazy. They, you know, the Time magazine, not just only, you know, what I love about cool cats is because the art didn't grab me at first, but I thought it was pretty cool. Like I dug the vibe, the cute vibe of it. And like, you know, it was a very, like, the community and the overall aspect of that to me is very positive. You know what I mean? The vibe around cool cats is just, there never seems to be any drama. It's just all like, it's just cool. You know, the Time magazine shit, not only when they put out that Time magazine cover with the couple of different cool cats on it, I was like, yo, that's really dope. And then it's like the CEO of Time is literally like super active, like in NFTs, and he's, you know, tweeting, and they, you know, they just had their drop that they didn't go great. You know, like I think there was some gas and some other bullshit, but you know, he was like almost apologizing for that, but like keyed into the community, you know, you can tell that they're going to do some shit. Now they're going to come out with the milk tokens and like, so that is one. And then just the other day, I bought the t-shirt with the cool cat ghost collab and it arrived in the mail, and that like hurt my heart. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't even wear this now. Like, I don't even have my cool cat anymore. Like, you know, and I think the thing's literally like crying on the shirt. I'm like, that's like me. I'm like, that's me now. So,
and that was my best move. I wanted a cool cat, but they got away from me, and then they dropped a mutant. So I sold my mutant and bought Jake Arrieta. So he's like a Cubs blue shirt with a beard.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm like, I've been wanting Jake Arrieta, even though he's not on the Cubs anymore.
Yeah, he was on the
finally
Phillies.
I bought it, and it was like 5 ETH, and that's what I sold. You know, my mutant was a little bit more of that, and now the floor. I mean, I think the floor for those are 11 or 12, and I thought I'm maybe the only person that flipped a mutant and actually doubled it. With,
good for you, man.
Well, I mean, you got to buy projects that you like, though, because there's definitely an issue for me in that if I buy something that I don't like because I'm FOMOing in, I have real trouble holding it.
Yeah,
because
you have real trouble holding anything, man.
Yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, I mean,
I think that's a very good point.
I've held apes and sold them for 75, 80 ETH, you know, so I've done all right holding. But you know, it's because I like them. But at the end of the day, I literally cannot hold things long term that I don't like, and
I agree.
Cool Cats
with that
for me was one of those. Cool Cats for me, I mean, I don't know. I struggle holding things that I don't like fall in love with in some way.
And that's fair.
Cool cats I love, but I still don't have that connection. Like I actually owned a lot of them, and I just sold my last one 2 days ago.
Yeah,
and
TV face too.
Yeah,
TV face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? How much you sell it for?
35. But it's a project that I never really connected with. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just too broad or there's no drama in it, which is kind of sometimes interesting.
You're a planes and trains guy too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, you know, they almost have too good of a plan in it that it's not exciting enough.
Too common.
It was it's funny. I still have, or not still, I finally got into Cool Cats. I've got 3, but it was it's a long story, but I'll condense it. When it came out, some of the guys in the Punks Discord actually minted them. Like Dave, one of the guys who manages the Punks Discord, he actually probably has a lot, like 30, 40. One of the guys in our private server, he still has 70 of the Cool Cats, which is crazy. And you know, there was this intense, like, almost campaign, like in the whole Punks Discord for like a week, where it was like, you know, they would take, and it was smart because why they became, I think, super successful is the meme ability. Like if you look at the TV heads, people put their punk in the TV head, and then they'd put like their artwork behind it. And it was like, there was just so much you could kind of do with with each of those cats. And I was just like almost bitter. I was like, oh, I didn't get that. I missed it. But it was so silly because it was small. And I think that's a good lesson actually for a lot of these projects, is that like sometimes when it's early and you miss, like if you don't mint or if you don't get in the first, like, you know, when it gets to 1 ETH or 2 ETH, it's still in the grand scheme of things could be quite early. Because if you think about apes and, you know, and I missed that, but it's like, you know, those, you know, early on were just like all these projects were super low, and they've, you know, risen. And I think Cats is the third project to hit a 10 ETH floor as a PFP.
Yep, it is.
So that's a pretty big milestone.
And Cool Cats was interesting too, because it was like Bored Apes. Like Bored Apes came out, I don't know, maybe on a Monday or Tuesday or something, and then Cranksy started tweeting about it, his bulk buys, like on a Friday night just after midnight. And then, but people thought that Bored Apes sold out right away, but they didn't. They were 3 or 4 or 5 days, you know, going. And Cool Cats was the same way. They literally dropped the price. Like their initial launch was like 0.06 or something.
It was nothing. Yeah.
And then they dropped it to 0.02 because they never sold out. So it's phenomenal.
Well, and then it shows you too. I mean, I think the Time collab was really good for them. I think that, you know, we love the cats. That whole like, you know, kind of like, that's a great, when you talk about memeability, I think they had like a slogan that added more like, you know, more of a, you know, positive vibe to their whole thing and helped elevate them even further. I mean, yeah. And you talk about the TV head cats, the Bob Ross TV head is the bomb. I love those joints, man. Those are so cool to me. I think
still don't know who he is.
You don't know who Bob Ross is?
No, I need to Google this guy.
That's
Come on,
true.
man. What?
No. I have no idea.
I feel like all right. Hey, wait, real quick. Billy, who's going to do the post production? Billy, throw up a picture of Bob Ross and throw up Bob Ross.
He knows what he looks like because he's in the television. He just doesn't know what he does.
I'm they're trying to sound stupid, but when I moved,
you're doing fine.
Yeah, exactly.
No, when I moved to the U.S., somebody
That's
mentioned.
right. I forget he's Canadian. Oh
yeah,
god.
yeah. Somebody mentioned
Canadian.
They brought up some nickname of I can't remember, but was Bob Ross like, he's, you know, a guy on American TV that you grew up with? Or am I totally off base?
No, yeah, man. He was always on TV doing his painting thing, you know, and he's like the fluffy clouds and like, you know, Bob Ross is just such a chill. He's like a cool cat to himself. You know what I mean? He's like, he's got no edge to him, including his fro. Like his fro is like
always kept that fro.
Personality wise, it's like his fro and his clouds. It's all the puffy, like, you know, and then
and he was on the Edge channel. Like if you went through every single channel,
you ended
the
up
last channel was him just painting, doing
just painting.
Something.
You know what I'm saying? Like just painting watercolors and living his best life.
And millions of people smoke weed to him.
Alan Dunn versus Bob
I
Ross.
check this
I like
guy out. I don't think we had him on Canadian TV because I don't remember this.
But without going too much on a tangent, his family does not own any of his paintings. His family got swindled out of all of his work. So it's all to a third party that was a partner, and so don't buy Bob Ross paintings.
See, all right, we'll see. We didn't know that. That took a dark turn right there.
Yeah, I know. So cool cat, a cool cat that's the best Bob Ross you're gonna get.
All right, there you go. So awesome. Yeah, so Cool Cats, I think and it's crazy why, and I think they're still going to run a little bit. I think they are just, you know, there's enough of a vibe there. People like them enough. They're you know, quirky enough and cool enough and different enough. You know, I think that's some of the challenge you run into with a few of these other PFPs, in my opinion. You know, some people like the stuff like the Vogus, right? Or another one that haven't really taken off with the TV heads or whatever. You know, I didn't really, for me, that was never one that I really could get into. And one of the reasons was they all look the same to me. You know what I mean? And it's like, and in those instances, it's like when I'm sitting there trying to buy one or looking through, like whether it's Rarity Tools or OpenSea, and I'm filtering and doing my whole thing. And I'm like, honestly, the difference between this one and that one, I just, you know, now it doesn't mean it won't continue to be successful or whatever, but it just wasn't for me, you know? And
I think that's a really good point. I mean, Chad, I think like to bring up another collection like Crypto Toads, I think, you know, that's one of the key elements that I think this project is amazing, is because the rarity tools are so clear, and you can, or so the rarities are so cool and clear that you can actually tell the difference. But yeah, some of these projects, I mean, they even have too much rarity where you don't really know what's rare. Like it's amazing. It's kind of like there's a whole study in rarity. That's just like the best
projects, though, are the projects that when you look at it, the cool and rare match. That doesn't happen very often. They make it rare by making less of them, but there's very few projects that you look at it and say, That's really awesome. And actually, that's pretty rare.
And I think
Somebody
that's
that
one of,
figures that
I think that's a great
combination
point.
out.
And I think that's where Bored Apes nailed it, right? Because you see a
They did.
gold Bored Ape or a Bored Ape with laser eyes, and you're like, that shit's dope. And I can tell that that's some rare hot shit. Chad, you were
and
going to
they
say
made
something?
laser eyes that. I mean, now people in the other projects put laser eyes, so it must mean rare. I hate
Yeah.
that. Establish your own rare, make it cool enough that I can tell. I mean, I think there's still so much opportunity there.
Well, that's why I like the cool cats. When you see the dope cool cats, like the TV heads and stuff, like you can tell, like,
Yeah.
oh shit, because like that's like a project that even when I bought mine, I was looking at the lowest to highest on OpenSea, and then I'm like, all right, let me go look and see what the highest look like, and it's like, oh shit, like that's much cooler. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
You know what I'm most interested in terms of rarity right now is the next stage of tokenomics, because with these collections you'll see, like, whether it's a Fidenza or whether it's a cool cat or something, obviously the more rare and the nicer pieces are going for a lot more money. But when tokens are rolled out, everyone gets the same. So I'm curious if because they have like 6 classes, I think, cool cats. So I'm thinking when they roll out the milk token, are they going to give
I think they will, Alan.
different amounts to different rarities?
Yeah. I think
That's actually one thing that was in big consideration for the stoner cats. That was that, like, if you own a Catsington or Miss Stoner, which are much rarer than all the other tokens,
Yeah.
you have more influence over the creative direction of the studio, or even if you have more votes in general. So they're kind of going in the quadratic voting direction where every single vote you have is less powerful than the previous one. So that's important. But the one thing I wanted to mention on Cool Cats is that they kind of really hit it on the one big foundation things that I look for in a project to succeed, and that's like culture and community. I think even if you don't really come out with a concrete roadmap or utility, kind of like the crypto toads didn't either in the beginning. Now they have the socks coming out. But if you have a strong culture and a strong community, you can kind of ride on that, just like the Bored Apes did. And then you can build the utility if there's enough interest and enough like momentum moving forward. I mean, I don't think the Bored Ape founders, when they first released this, expected to have all this like diverse roadmap too, with all these, like, they pretty much hit in all different directions that you would want every project to hit, whether it's a DAO, whether it's a mobile game, whether it's like 3D avatars, whether it's like IRL utility. Like, they're kind of providing like, hey, this is the one brand that you might need to only come to if you're into NFTs. So Cool Cats really hit it with the community, and that they're riding on that. And then now they're introducing the milk token, which was really cool to me.
I think that's a great point, because there is a lot of chatter about community. We talked about this on the show before, how community is such a driving factor with a lot of these projects, period, to the point that then you get, you get some of these projects that are trying to boost their Discord numbers and their Twitter followers so that to artificially inflate and create a community that isn't there. Right. And, we saw it with some of this shit, like, what was it that came out that I think it was like the Sevens maybe, which was like an Oniforce ripoff, and like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that whole drop got fucked up because they had people that basically gamed the system, and then, they had to buy back like a bunch of their like, PFPs, and like, I mean, that was just a mess. But, the understanding was that some of that Discord was inflated by, bots and things. And it's like, and if it's not like truly there, like, you have to be careful, right? Just because you can't look at, so that would be just a little bit of, so do your own research and all that good stuff. But, when you're using metrics like Twitter followers, Discord members, and things like that to judge whether or not you think a project's going to make it, you got to be careful that what you're seeing is like actual reality. So, but Oniforce is
like, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, I mentioned Oniforce. Oniforce was another one that I really liked, and that had like, that thing was super buzzing, and it took off, and then it kind of like sort of deflated, and they just recently came out with the roadmap. But I mean, I got lucky because I minted a top 50 guy that I sold for a good bit of dough. And then, that was one where
you still got a Tesla from them.
Oh yeah. I mean, I should wrap it with Oniforce. You know what I'm saying? And
at least put it on the hood.
And because I finally got it, it arrived. I got it in the driveway. But Josh was making the point. I had bought back in at one point, and then I sold that one at a loss. Sometimes they talk about the paper hands. I paper handed that shit by like a couple of ETH because I didn't want to keep it in my wallet any longer. When the one that I bought, I felt like it was such a mistake and I overpaid and all that. But anyway, so
That's a good question. Can I drag stuff from the front to the back of my wallet? Because I hate the ones that are sitting up front. Like I got a lazy lion bungalow sitting there driving me crazy. And I can hide it. And I don't necessarily want to hide it. I just don't want it coming up first.
The community conversation, when you mentioned lazy lines, there's a couple of things to unpack here and talk about. The lazy
answer
lines.
My question first. Can I move my OpenSea how it looks? Can I?
You can, you can change how it filters based on recently created, recently listed, most viewed.
There you go. Okay.
But I don't think you can do it by default, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, you can absolutely go in there and change, like, you look at most viewed, it'll probably bring up your best shit first, you know what I'm saying, or most favorited. And but yeah, I have an issue with OpenSea in general, like, so even from a security standpoint, you have to be careful with some of the shit that gets dumped into your account. I just recently set up my ledger to finally, and I'll tell you, I sleep so much better at night. It was a stressful like 2 weeks. Every morning I would go in and look to make sure my shit wasn't stolen. You know what I mean? And I'm like freaking out. And you're seeing stories of people who obviously have been in the space for a long time, who got scammed and hacked and things, like when you realize it could happen to anybody. And by setting it up with the ledger, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. Like I almost have to keep my other wallet kind of hot with a little bit of ETH so that, like, because sometimes it's a little funky where if it's not reading it on the computer and some of that stuff. But at the end of the day, I would rather have those extra steps to know that, like, they can't just steal my apes from me, because that shit would be like so terrible. And, but one thing I did in the process was I moved like all my good shit from my like one wallet to my other wallet. So my good wallet now has like 40 things that I actually like. And then there's like 80 some things in that other wallet that I don't even care about. I'm like, have at it. You know what I mean? It's like, you can have my, my Madcap militia and my, whatever else, like the other shit. Although I did get those tiny tanks, man. And I threw those in my other wallet, but so
you gotta get a great ENS domain like madshitwallet.eth.
Yeah. Oh, that's not a bad idea, because I do have my ETH, my game7.eth from my good wallet. You know what I'm saying? And the other one I could put like exactly like second rate .eth or something like that. But community, you make a really good point, Jess. And then we talk about community as good and bad. Like, so Lazy Lions, like they have a crazy active community, right? It's almost like spammy. Like somebody made a point on Twitter the other day I thought was really funny. They said they're like the Jehovah's Witnesses of the NFT space. Yeah. And I'm with that. But at the same time, I also think that's a positive for them, because their crew is like the pride and all that stuff. They're very like active, and they've got a very active community. So I think,
I'm pretty sure the Jehovah's Witness has a lot of money. So
you can look at that shit out in LA, man. They're like, they got all that, they got some of the best property in the world because of that community.
And it's done well. I minted them. I mean, it is nice to go from 0.03 to, I sold one at 2.8, 2.3, something like that.
Wow.
And I was like, but then I used it to buy the superlative secret society ones that I thought were dope. And I'm like, this shit's all free. Like, it's literally cost me 0.03 minus the taxes and all this stuff, which is a whole nother show into itself. The taxes is, I'm just going to hand my computer to somebody and say, tell me how much I owe. Because this is going to be between the crypto gains in the spring and all it's
I don't want to. I'm like, don't even get Josh started on that. You're going to get Josh.
Yeah, no. But I was like, do I really? I mean, I'd use all the money to buy the superlative SSs. I didn't put any for taxes or anything. So I was like, well, shit, that's $3,000 that I better make up. I don't know. It's
3,000, bro. 3,000.
No, that's just for the one little push button. Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, your Super Bowl.
I'm like literally like this. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
You think you're keeping that ape? That ape is going to Mr. Taxes. You might as well just put IRS across the hat.
No, I pulled out a bunch, to be honest. Like when we were going back and forth in text, and I guess we don't really need to talk about it here, but the reality is like, I think that people need to be smart with taking gains. Because I mean, I'm a flipper. I've been a flipper in domains. I've been a flipper in when I hit like a 10x or something, which is part of the reason why I struggle to hold some things, right? Because I look at stuff from an ROI perspective. So if I make 10, 15, 20x, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, I've hit kind of like the ROI goal that I'm looking for. I'm going to roll that money into something else. So I have like so many short-term trades. So I took I had to take some off the table and kind of say like, okay, this is going to
well, and I've had the conversation, and I, with the account as well, and I think some of it is also converting from ETH to USD and then back again in order to make sure that like gains are recognized as the gains on the appreciation versus like if you because I sold some stuff at when ETH was almost 4,000, now it's 3,000, and it's like, so you're telling me that if you don't do the conversion properly and time it right, then, and not even a matter of timing, but it's almost like you have to have your process in place to know, because then now the losses, you want to be able to recognize those. Otherwise, it's like, as far as the tax man's concerned, it's like you sold in USD, you didn't convert, it stayed in ETH, you didn't convert it to anything else. And even though ETH might be worth a lot less, they still want to get paid. You have no losses to claim without having done the conversion. So, but yeah, we'll talk about that at another time. We'll maybe even bring our tax guy onto the, that might even be valuable.
The long story short is, you better, if you made money, if you're in the US, you better set aside money, and you better set it in fiat, because if crypto went to nothing, IRS doesn't care. They want their money. And so that's, you can just summarize everything. We can all say how much money we made, but you gotta put something aside. Other than gas fees, I'm counting all my gas fees because I can write those bad boys off. So that's the only thing. When I pay $65, I'm like, I can write that off.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. But I think at the end of the day too, I mean, you can, the losses, like, let's not turn this into a big legal / accounting conversation. But yeah,
that's no fun. We only want to talk about.
I know. We're going to cut this out of the show altogether anyway, I think. No. But I think that is, you're right. That's the best advice. If you don't want to worry about it and you want to sleep okay at night, like just take out some cash and set aside the cash so that you can pay the bill when the time comes, you'll be fine. Well, especially now, like, I mean, I've got so much of my gains sitting in crypto that's currently, like, as I look at my wallet, I'm like, oh God, it was a lot higher even as of yesterday.
And Josh and I never have more than 0.5 ETH sitting in our wallet at any time.
Nothing. I'm like tapped out. I'm
we
like,
literally
okay,
have to send each other like 0.05 ETH to pay gas fees to sell something. Like, hey, dude, got 0.05 I can borrow?
I've literally hit everyone up for some ETH at some point. Like, I don't want to sell right now. Okay, forget. I'll sell this.
Yeah,
I got no ETH left. But I'm curious about something. Did you guys get your art blocks? Did that happen?
That happened during the show.
Oh, yeah. I saw it and it hit. I was too late. Like it sold out about 6, even into 5.
6.
Oh.
Alan, how many did you get? 6 of them?
No, I didn't get any. I looked at a couple of sales. I do like them, but it was a rarity issue for me. Yeah. There's like 12 or 15 gold ones. There's some nice ones, but
yeah,
I thought when you got down to the bulk of it, there wasn't really much that differentiated the pieces.
Property.
It looked all too similar.
Yeah.
So then,
don't get me wrong. I think it's beautiful. I think it's brilliant.
I bought some art blocks the other day. I'm not really that big into art blocks. I've never found too much success with them, which is upsetting because they're those are like the big time. I feel like you can really do well with art.
I bought the only art blocks that literally are worth nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like I should get an award for buying art blocks that aren't valuable because everything else is like fucking minting gold.
You bought the Lego green piece, like the green piece at the bottom.
First of all, I thought it was curated and it wasn't. It was like, but yeah, like I bought some shit at like an ETH. It's like not like worth like a tenth of that now. And it's like,
you bought those things with like the digits on them. What are those ones? They're like, I always see those ones at the bottom, I forget. Like they've got like numbers on them. Which ones are they?
I got like I said, I bought the only art blocks that they maybe will have value just based on the fact that they don't have value. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for the contrarian boomerang. You know what I mean? I'm going to coin that trademark, all rights reserved. That's what I'm hoping I get the value from.
Well, the ones yesterday were like crazy, right? The ones yesterday are like, they're like pumping right now. I don't know, 10 ETH.
They dropped a bit, but yeah.
Did they?
Those are good. I think they change over time, right? There's like a really cool mechanism.
No, I don't think there's a time delay in them. I don't think so. It's just all on chain and it's a very small code, very small weight.
So, but we did talk about the toads, which I wanted to talk a little. I love the toads personally.
I love those. I love them.
Like, and I got my socks. So I got the socks. I'm hoping that I can get them in, the physical versions as well. And
great gift. Great.
The crypto toads were one of those joints that like, and I'm with you, Chad. Like I've gone in you know, times where I didn't catch it at the mint, but I went in and bought, and, you know, I always try to find something that I like about the particular one that I'm buying. Kind of also to Josh's point about, you know, I got a 2-trait toad bot, the toad robot, that I just love my toad, man. And it's like, it's going to take a lot to peel my toad from me. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, because, and I bought them at like, you know, I didn't buy them cheap. I think I paid probably 1.5 ETH when I bought them. And now it's, you know, I could probably, you know, it's probably worth 5 or more. And it's just, I think they're going to keep doing what they're doing, because they're just like cool. And when you look at the really rare ones, they're like super wild. You know what I'm saying? There's like one that's like, so let's talk about the hundreds, the atom bomb stuff. Do you guys have any atom bombs? Like,
I love these things. I love that there's no rarity on them.
I didn't buy because I don't own the rights. Like,
oh, interesting, right? Because they have, and that's the 100. So I'm rocking the 100 hoodie.
Yeah, it's their logo, so it doesn't help me in my businesses.
The atom bombs, right? So it's like so now the metadata is starting to come out, and what's really cool about that, I think, and I'm on the fence, right? Because it's like, I like that they didn't come out right away, because it didn't allow for anyone to manipulate based on sort of the rarity. But yet at the same time, it's been so long before they've released it that they just have been sitting there like, you know, there's no movement in the market. So it's kind of like, I've got 5 or 6. I'd love to sell a couple, keep the ones I really like. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to sell before I know if, like, you know, I'm going to sell the, you know, one dude, there was a one of one, the black atom, which they, I think it was Jimmy ETH bought, right? And he bought it for like 75 ETH the day after. And there was a dude who had sold it to the guy he bought it from. He sold, you know, who flipped it for like 1 ETH or something, you know what I mean? And 6 hours later, it sold for 70 something. So I don't want to be that dude, you know what I mean? Yeah. That sells it before he realizes any of the real value. But so it'll be interesting as that comes out. But one thing that they're doing that I thought was super cool, because I saw Bobby Hundreds of the Hundreds, who was like, you know, I want to finally get some sleep, you know, finally getting this metadata out. And I'm kind of like, all right, well, what's been the big, you know, how much effort does it take to, like, you know, throw it all in a spreadsheet and have your data folks, like, you know, parse it and send it out the door. But like, it turns out they've actually, in all the detail, have put like the little blurb or the story behind each one of, like, because each one of these was effectively like a design or something, you know, on a shirt or whatever. So, you know, there's history behind like each one, which I think is like super cool. And this one could be really, really neat too, just the project in general, because of the utility with drops and different merch and all that kind of stuff. And their shit is just so hip to begin with and so cool. But, you know, I've got one that's like really rare. There's only like 10 of them or something, the birthday candle one. And he said they only make those, they don't sell them. The actual shirts that have the birthday bomb is that they give them out to like their kids when their kids have birthdays, you know what I mean? So it's, or something like really, really kind of neat. So that's like super cool to me. I mean, I think the stuff that has like, there's real, like there's some kind of, not just history, but, you know, again, a story, something behind the surface, which I think is super cool.
I think you're going to be one of those lucky people. I think everyone who has an atom bomb is getting a shirt with your atom bomb on it. It's one of the things.
Oh,
so you're,
no way.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yo, happy birthday to me, yo. What up? Yep. I'll get it to my kids, man. Maybe, you know, they'll probably.
You got a 1 of 12, JT, out of 25,000, and you minted it, right? I just don't understand how you do it, man. I literally don't understand how you do it. It's insane every time, bro.
Well, you know, I didn't get a mega mutant, you know what I mean? So it's not, you know, hey, I did okay with the dogs. I did okay with the Oni Force. I actually have a top 50 blockchain biker. I'm hoping that shit blows up, man. I'm like, let's go, guys. Come on, get your shit together. So, but yeah, so no, all good. And then, all right. So the last thing, there's only 1 or 2 more things I want to talk about. I know we're running up on time. Lost Poets. So this is now, they're starting to reveal what's going on. And this was something I was super down with. I've only got 2 of them. So I don't think that I can create a poem or a face, but how does Alan, Jess, Chad, you guys know how these actually work? Like what the deal is?
I'm having so much fun with these, but I still don't know how they work.
They're pretty creepy. I mean, I love the concept. But I look at the pictures and they're horrible. I would never put that on my wall. It scared my dog as he came around the corner.
The wall test is an interesting thing. I think you can't go wrong in a situation. We've said this on the show a lot of times. You can't go wrong if you buy something that you put on the wall anyway, like truly like art. You know what I mean? Because if it passes the wall test, then that at least always will give it some value just as like digital art in your collection. I saw somebody on Twitter did a thread where they were like talking about, you know, art and this whole, you know, the whole JPEG right click. And they did like a 250-year breakdown of like the art history, you know,
that was great.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really, I thought, provided some really cool perspective. Maybe I can find the link and throw it into the show's description on the site. Because it really broke down the different periods, you know, the Impressionist period and all that kind of stuff, going all the way into Warhol and everything, and how this digital sort of era that we're in now is, you know, this is the new era. And, you know, so people are discounting the value of these things as art. You know, we talk a lot about utility, we talk about community, but the idea of some of these things, especially art blocks, I mean, their utility is in the art, you know what I mean? Because Fidenzas, you look at them and you're like, that shit is dope. Like, you know, it like moves you in a way. And I mean, if that was on the wall, like it would even be more so, you know, and you can turn that into, you know, get yourself the digital TV frame and, you know, have your stuff up there.
That's
and,
never served me wrong. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. It's a story behind the artist too, right? Like Tyler Hobbs, you know, for Fidenza, I mean, he's been at it, you know, for years and years. And then you have like even with the photo taxis, the release by Casey Reese. I mean, he literally wrote the book on a programming language called processing. And so if you know, I mean, you have to be really nerded out kind of on that particular genre. But if you are, it really gives you just a more intense appreciation for what they're doing. And yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, like to your point, JT, I mean, it's new and it's, you know, it's also interesting to see how like Christie's and Sotheby's are adopting the whole generative art movement as well. And yeah, it's a fun, to me, it's just a really fun time. And I don't have like a art historian background, and it's all new. But to me, it's fun to learn. Like I just kind of, I've gathered much deeper appreciation for a lot of things just from paying attention to the scene and just learning. So I think that's been the most fun and exciting. Like even the Hearst project, I had a great discussion with my wife. She's like, I had two. She's like, you can sell one, but I want a physical one. I'm like, I don't want a physical one, but she's like, I want a physical one for our house. It's like, okay, sure.
And now you can burn it and you got to get a physical.
Yeah.
I got two as well, Chad. I got one for NFT and one for physical. They actually just had a meetup in London the other day, cool. The first Hearst meetup. Yeah. So yeah.
I only have
the burn window's opening up right next week. Sorry, Alan. Apologize.
Yeah. No, I only have one. I'm really fucking stressed about what to do.
Well, that's another.
You should buy another one.
30
that's
grand.
The hard part. That's the hard part in a lot of these projects, and it goes to what Chad was saying earlier about his CryptoPunk. Like when you only have one, you're stuck.
Toasted.
You're stuck because you're like, oh my God, like what? And as more of these projects start involving some of the game theory and the tokenomics aspects, like Meta Hero and, you know, the Pixel Vault, you know, Punks comics stuff, like, you know, that stuff starts to get really tricky because you're like trying to figure out like, how do you best maximize for value, for your actual enjoyment, your entertainment, your utility, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, but you can't be perfect on every project. You have to learn to be able to just kind of roll and go, you know?
I don't think you need two. I was thinking about this last night because the toads is something that I really love. And I don't think the magic number is two. I bought another toads last night, so I have three. And I'm really, really happy because if they do like, you know, go off the charts and I sell one, I'm not left with one.
Yeah.
So
three. For Alan, the magic number is three. The magic number is three.
I've got 3 frames, so my magic number's always been 3. I try and get 3 that'll look good in the frames. So, but
I think three is the
three is the magic number. We might have to make that the title of the show, or you know, or top shots. But the 3 is my favorite number. It's also Allen Iverson's number. So as a big Sixer fan, you know,
I even had 3 Taco Fall cards at one time. I love
what they are, but they sound really good.
For Taco Falls cards, each one it was sort of like it was like a totem pole style. Like to get him all in one frame, you had to have like the first one was just his legs, then it was.
I literally bought 3 of them. I was like shoulders buy the whole market, and make Taco Fall the most valuable card in all the market.
3 is the number. I mean, it is. It gets tough. You know what I mean? For me, I'm not selling my toad for like. It'll take a lot of money for me to sell my toad. But I would. I mean, I think everybody has a number. I mean, even loot. I sold my loot bag at some point. I didn't tell you guys this. I almost felt.
Oh, you sold your house?
I know. I didn't.
He's in the shit house now.
I didn't even want to tell you guys. I bought it for 2. I sold for 11. I got the tokens as well. You know what I mean? And it just got to be. But you know what it was? It was also, I'd gotten kind of frustrated because I also bought Loot. I bought, I literally bought Mercenaries. I bought all this. I have all this stuff. And I was just like, just got almost overwhelming. You know what I mean? So I was like,
too much loot.
it was too much loot, but I might just buy right back in. I don't know. I had a nice loot bag too. And like, as Jess knows, I mean, I had a whole like backstory for my evil wizard and stuff and our Dragonhide Empire and everything. Like I was ready to roll. I bought mage.io and I was going to have the domain point literally to like just a picture, like the sort of the CryptoPunk style picture of my character, you know what I mean? And just have that be the thing. So, I mean, but hey, you can't be 100% in every single project. I mean, Bored Apes is my number one, and there's a lot of other ones that I like that I'm in on. But but I love Loot, and kind of hurt to go. But at the same time, taking 50K off the table or whatever it was made the medicine go down a little easier. You know what I mean? So with that, let's go through real quick. We're going to do a quick round robin here on like the last 6-7 minutes just to see what's coming out that's going to be dropping soon. Let's give some alpha to the audience as far as anything that you're kind of interested in and or you think has potential project wise. This is not financial advice.
Can we do projects that you've bought recently as well?
Sure. Yeah, whatever. I think it's like this. Let's do this. This is do your own research, DYOR, NFA, not financial advice. We're just saying some things because I mean, we're talking about a lot of different things here. And I think the audience does really like it though, when we kind of hip them to things that they're not even, whether or not it's something they might want to get into or we're not promoting shit. We're like, none of these are our projects, but I do think
this is what I'm doing, right? This is what I'm doing.
So go ahead.
Join me if you want.
So go ahead. You start, man. Since
you start, man. You're the main attraction. What have you got going on?
Hey, man, I'm just the guy. Like I'm the host, man. Y'all carry me. But with that, all right, I would still, the things that I'm into that have not minted yet. I still think Mechaverse is going to be crazy. Like that shit for me is like, I mean, I'm already upset at not getting one in the gas wars to come. You know what I'm saying? So I know they might do like depending on how they actually roll it out. But that still remains my number one as far as target wise about, what I'm really, really excited about. What I just recently bought into, I did buy a creature. I got the crypto toads. Those are moving. I bought something yesterday and let's see before I forget what I got into. I definitely went through and spent a little bit of ETH trying to catch up on a couple of projects that I was otherwise a little slow to move on. And let's see, what was it? So, I got my Mint Pass collection for my Gutter Cat. So I've got a Gutter Cat, a Gutter Rat, and I've got my Mint Pass 3 and 4 because I want to have a full set. And then I also got the Superlative. I got one of those Superlatives. So those were like my, so that's what's up. So again, big on Mechaverse. I can't hype that enough without knowing anything other than just, some of what I've seen in the Discord and on Twitter and all that shit. I think the art to me, I love like the whole Pacific Rim, like just, Voltron kind of Transformers looking aspect of it. I think the art approach is super kind of clean and cool. So that's sort of what I'm into. And, like I said, other than that, Superlatives I think are neat. I'd like to understand a little more of the story, but I think the art is just really wild. And I really like the one I got. And then I got the full Mint Pass because I think Gutter Cats still have some room to run. So that's my full suite of kind of what's up. So Josh, why don't you go next and we'll go backwards order from like what we did by way of the intros.
All right. So buying wise, I bought some Superlatives as well. I bought 3. I already sold 1. So I've only got 2 now. But I bought those like at 0.1. And then I also I bought bulls yesterday. I bought a bunch of bulls yesterday.
We can't see.
Like 3 months
Shane,
ago?
we can't see.
You can't see it. I put Josh will say bulls on the block.
Yeah, I bought bulls on the block yesterday. I bought a bunch of them. And if you don't know why, go and check out bullsontheblock.com. Their updated roadmap and the evolved bulls.
Well, yeah, the evolved bulls look really cool. They look really cool.
Sick.
And I'll tell you, that's a project that I think is interesting because there's resilience there, right? Like they had problems. There's a falling out between their lead the artist, and like some of the other founders, if you will. but
there's
they've
a
like,
real story there. There's a real story there. It's gonna be the comeback of the NFT world. I'm pretty sure of it.
all right, I'm gonna have to buy one. Like,
Hmm.
based on what should I be looking for? Like, what about robots versus the regular bulls? Like anything like, would you rather like a regular bull or a robot bull?
I don't know, man. I just go for the ones that look dope. You know,
I like the
mean,
robot bulls. The robot
and
bulls.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I bought bulls initially, and I sold all of my bulls. And I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of these bulls. They're shit. The team is stupid. Like, I hate them. But they changed the team up. They updated the roadmap, and it looks really cool. If you check out bullsontheblog.com, it's cool. But
All right.
I won't
And
talk too much about that
you're
one.
gonna find this crazy, but I actually have the Bulls and the Bears with matching numbers and never
Ooh.
touched them. And they said that they're gonna give something special for the people that strong-handed it.
Oh yeah, I
you
did
hear
see that. I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. And the other thing that I'll mention is because I don't think anyone else will mention them is galaxy eggs. I think those are really cool. I got a bunch of them. I got more than 3 of those. So, so I'm good.
now I'm buying.
Good, yeah.
All right.
But they're pretty cool, man. They're like, it's just really cool art more than anything.
Yeah.
The art was really attractive to me. And I think that they've, in their roadmap that they've got drops that are coming and the standard NFT play.
Okay. I like it, man. Yeah, the galaxy eggs are wild, dude. I was looking at some of those. They were like insane. I couldn't figure out where I wanted to get in on that, but there are some really, really crazy ones. All right, cool.
Oh, and the mint alpha for me, I'm gonna be minting eternal Royals. I think those look pretty cool.
I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna write that shit down.
I'm writing it down right now.
All right, Alan, what do you got, man?
Okay.
I'm taking all the alpha in here. I've been trying to get organized, so I don't really have anything that's coming up in the drops. I mean, I am really interested in getting in a position to get these parallel cards, which I think are coming out in October, Chad. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yep.
I think so. So I'm trying to levitate towards like proven projects that are coming out with like another round or something.
Okay. And then who initially dropped the parallel cards? Like, so who is that?
Chad is the master.
Yeah, all that's actually a good segue, but I'll wait till you're done, Alan. I'm going to talk about games in my closing.
No, besides that, I mean, I'm really involved in this Lost Poets thing. I think Pac is a genius. I think if you look back at what he did with his last drop, like just a single cube on the first day was $500. Now it's like 16,000 or something.
Yeah.
And then there's the Ash token. Like he makes it fun, and that's actually part of a lot of the reason why I love this space is so I'm really into like Lost Poets right now and just trying to. I mean, I've got a lot of them. I'm just trying to figure out what to burn, what to keep. He gave a 2-week window to do this, so it's so much fun. But man,
It's
2
pressure.
weeks.
It's pressure.
2 weeks
man.
to figure out the next stage. This is worse than Josh holding something. I mean, like, I don't know what to do.
right.
I can help you, Alan. Don't worry, I'll be there.
All right. Well, good segue for
Good
Chad, I think, on the parallel card. So let's talk. So what do you got?
Yeah, almost all my energy goes into games in the space. I do a little bit with the PFP projects. If I were to divide my day and how it's a lot of it's DeFi and LPs and then in games, and the PFPs I kind of just do is I hear about them or see them, and then the art block stuff, which I find just sort of fascinating. But
Yeah.
on the game side, there's 4 that I follow pretty closely. And so Alan mentioned one, Parallel. They came out in March and they had some early cards that they dropped. It's basically it's a TCG. It's a trading card game, and there's a lot of just depth to the art and to the mechanics. And games that interest me are ones that have a good team, good art, strong community, good developer base, and just a long-term roadmap. Like Parallel, for example, the YouTube co-founder, I think it's Chad Hurley, like he's super involved in, the team, and just, so to me, those are things that can grow into, the PFP projects can get there, right? Like Cool Cats, they're sort of evolving, and there's others, BAYC or BYAC, same kind of thing. But to me, like a game, because a game has so much depth. I mean, when the inevitable bear market hits, games won't, in my opinion, go super south because we all, I mean, like 50%, 60% of the world plays games, right? And it's like, yeah, it's a different, blockchain games are a different evolution. But when you look at Axie, for example, like I got into Axie in November of last year, and I still am super involved. And it's just, to me, there's just such a depth of the experience. And so owning those NFTs and just interacting with the game, there's so much opportunity if that's your kind of thing. And for me, I grew up as a gamer, so it's like a super easy evolution. So the quick is a parallel Axie influence. I still think Loot has got legs. It's going to take a little bit. I think that's a longer term play. But the parallel drop that Alan mentioned, it will be, I think it's October 30th or 31st. You can check out their Discord, but it's going to be super, super attended. But it'll be a relatively fair drop. It won't be a gas war. It'll be closer to a Top Shot drop.
Okay, dope. Yeah, and I think that's, well, you made a point earlier too about how even for art blocks, getting an understanding of kind of the science and, behind it, or, the history of the artists themselves. And I agree. I mean, I think, and that's some of what helps to, give you, call it alpha, but being smart, but also being intellectually curious, right? Like, digging sort of deeper, like coming in and just being like, hey, what's the hot shit? So I could just buy it and try and like, I mean, yeah, that might work if you get good advice from the right people, or if the market just continues to run and we're so early that it's going to continue to be a bull market predominantly for a while. But really at the end of the day, it's like, if you can identify and spend the time to really get to understand where some of that value and interest and, some of that is going to derive from, it's going to serve you well. So I think that was a really interesting, cool point, because when you look at the art blocks, that's some of when people are like, how do I know, because I hear that a lot too. It's like, how do we know what it's going to be? And it's like, well, it's trying to identify, who the artists are that people are going to have demand. And that's going to a lot of times be based on who they are, what their story is, and then as well as then the art they create. So, I think that's, some really cool insight. So
can I just reiterate one thing? Because I that resonates with me a lot is what Chad said, is like, there is going to be a bear market. Whether and I've been saying it for a while, whether it comes next week or in 6 months, I don't know, but it's going to come, and a lot of people aren't going to be ready for it. I think that the games are the safe haven in my opinion. And for me, my biggest bags in all of NFTs by far is Zed-Run. So and I agree. I think the gaming side of NFTs is, just revolutionary. And there's so many people that play these games that are not involved in the rest of the NFT world at all. So
I think it's almost the easiest bridge too. Like I look at Fortnite and stuff, and my son trades. I think he trades stuff now with people. But imagine if you could trade that outside of Fortnite. I think gaming is amazing.
Without a doubt. I mean, gaming in a lot of ways has replaced even sports, like esports. When you look and see some of these tournaments and, just the amount of money and time and everything that's poured into that. And, kind of to Chad and everyone's point, like we grew up playing games, right? So now it's like you can do that in ways where, you can, and for my kids, like, they'll spend money and all this time trying to get game swag and things in Fortnite and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, the idea that we've barely scratched the surface on some of that. And then when you couple in gambling and that aspects, those gamification in general of a lot of this stuff is going to create all sorts of amazing opportunity. And, that's where it's like just trying to pick winners and getting involved, it's like a key thing to kind of recognize stuff ahead of time. So for sure. So Jess, what about you, bro?
I kind of wanted to build on what you said about gaming. I think if you understand like why Minecraft was such a big success, you'll kind of understand why Sandbox will be huge or other kinds of things like that. One of the biggest complaints that I think gamers are starting to realize now is that we never really had true ownership over any of our assets in games. Yeah. Whether it was skins or any kinds of cosmetics in Fortnite or anything on Steam or anything from Riot, whether it was League of Legends or whatever. And also it empowers creators, right? They used to have to hire artists to come make the skins, and now artists can kind of develop their own wearables, deploy it onto the market, and people can buy them without having to worry about someone bringing them on board for their, for their product. So that's really cool to me. I think making wearables on Sandbox or Decentraland or even skins on Zedrun, like I know they had a contract with Stella Artois and Atari that made like custom skins for them. So like these kinds of partnerships are really important. I wanted to also mention, I think TopShot is coming out with the game as well. So you'll be able to, based on which moments you have, feed them to like an empty shell of a player. So let's say you want to really power your player on the 3-pointer end, you can feed him a bunch of Steph Currys, or like defensive end, feed him a bunch of Matisse Thybulles, you know, so you can really work in on that. And so that's really important to me.
That's cool.
Dig all that. Yeah, for sure. All right, Shane, what about you, bro?
Well, being a trader, I think it's starting to become an easier market, because here's how I look at where we're at right now. So you've got, it's just like the stock market. You got IPOs that everybody's chasing after. You've got solid stocks that are become too expensive for the average person to get in. So where does that leave you? The same as the stock market. It's the lower priced things that are just lingering that people can now afford. So the younger people, the new people, they can't get into Bored Apes. They can't get into Cool Cats. So the next best things are the ones that are going to take off. It works exactly like the stock market. This has trailed. I mean, it's exactly the same thing. I look at it and I just laugh. It's almost gotten, the last month has become fairly predictable from the standpoint is you're going to see the second best. You're going to see like crazy koalas go from 0.03. You're going to see the bulls go. You're going to see alpha betties. You're going to see these floors move from 0.03 to 0.2 to 0.3. You're going to see cool caps come down. I really do think it's pretty predictable what's coming up now. And I think one of the things that there's an opportunity, it's not a huge run, but you're going to see these lower floor second run, been there a while, people liked but forgot about, make little runs. And I think it's some easy cash for the next couple of weeks doing that. And it's going to take numbers though. It's going to take 20 at 0.1. It's going to take a little bit of different way of doing it to make that money, but it's a stock trader's dream watching how this is developing, because it really is following a stock market as far as the different types of stock. That's kind of my opinion.
Yeah, well, no, and as an old school trader, that gives you like, you get an interesting perspective. And I think for, you know, that my thing though, I did try to do the day trading. The one when the serums came out, I spent the day like kind of flipping M1s and M2s.
But you did well.
Oh, I did. I made like 10 grand over the course of the day. And it was like, but it felt like real work. And I'm like, hey, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for the real work.
No,
you know
there's no doubt that it's, it's definitely, and it's again, a tax nightmare when you're moving all that, but it is pretty, I also have seen, this is breadcrumbing at its finest. You hear me use this word is, I just watch what people are doing to try and raise the value. The thing that I hated about the Bulls thing lately is like, if you have it less than 0.5, we're not going to do anything till everybody pulls it off and manipulates the market and reduce it or makes the price either not listed or above 0.5 until we're going to do anything. I don't like manipulation like that at all.
I hate that as well.
Yeah, that
was not a good move. And there's tons of breadcrumbing. Like, okay, we're having a little trouble. We're going to drop something. I just took your snapshot. You know, the Twitter that says, I just took your snapshot, I wonder what that means, pisses me off. That's just breadcrumbing everybody. And it's,
100%.
Exactly. I stay away from that shit. I don't like it at all.
All right,
I'm thankful for the mutants drop, because this whole time I was, I've been in NFTs and I kind of missed the apes thing. I actually watched Apes Mint. I was watching a Twitch stream of one of the most rare apes being minted. I think it was like rainbow teeth, had a bandana, everything. And I was watching and I was like, I don't know if this is gonna, so my best for dropping mutants. And I went in with the magic number with 3 in the most recent week. So I'm very, very thankful for that.
Oh,
and I'm excited for Ape Fest. I don't know if any of you are coming, but should be a fun time.
I might have to try and get out there or up there. But yeah, I think that's an interesting point about the mutant drop. And one of the reasons why the apes have done, they're just, everything they do. I do think the extra mutants were a bit dilutive, but I do think appreciate at the same time, the ability to create a new entry point for folks. And it looks like in the roadmap 2.0, they've, the mutants are part of the plan. They're in the pictures. They're in the, like when you actually look at and everyone's now like, analyzing the thing like it's a treasure map, right? And, they're like, look, you can see mutants at the bar and in real life, like, Miami club. And it's like, see, and I think that's important, and kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, where 10,000 sounds like a big number, but is it really a big number when you look at how many people, and for some of these things to be successful, you do need to have larger overall numbers, because 10,000 PFPs, there's still only, 5,500 actual owners. And you're going to get to a point where, you won't have more than what's the max, 6,500, 7,000. I don't think after that, some folks who have multiple apes that are never selling.
It's a PF. It's a version of a reverse stock split in NFTs. That's all it is. It's a reverse stock split in NFTs. You're just giving them more stock for it, and that's in mutants instead of apes. So
last thing, we didn't talk a lot about stoner cats. The next time we have Jess on, we're gonna have to talk stoner cats, because I know that's part of his jam. I'd like to get into that a little bit more. I do think gamification, though, talking about that, two things. And there's a lot of great shit out here. I mean, I'm just going through my good wallet, and there's like a lot of good stuff. But the Rumble Kongs, I don't know if anybody messes with Rumble Kongs, but I'm super curious to see what happens there, because they're like apes that play hoops, and they've got like shooting and defensive scores and stuff. So I'm curious to see, like, do they get introduced into a game? Steph Curry bought one of those as well, and obviously, famous for how he bought into the apes during that crazy run. But then I think, if we're going to talk gamification and some of this stuff, then I think we got to mention some of the meta hero stuff for Pixel Vault, because I think that is going to also be really, really interesting, because I know as those guys are stockpiling more and more money and, building what they're building, they're going to be putting in time and effort into game development, and it'll be really interesting to see what that's going to be like, and how you're going to be able to, stake your characters, use your characters, the planetary DAOs, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of crazy stuff involved with that. And, I did not get in very early on that, but when I got my dog that I sold, Fallout Boy, rest in peace to Fallout Boy, Neon Sanders, I took some of that money, called up Alan literally that day, and was like, talk to me about Punk's comic. Like, what do I got to do? And he's like, well, buy one in the top 5,000. And so you can get Punk's comic volume 2. And, and then broke down sort of the rest of it for me too. And I just think, a lot of what they're doing is really, really cool and interesting. So anyway, but we could talk hours and hours about each one of these. But I think we covered a lot of ground. This was a fantastic show. I want to thank especially Jess and Chad for the first, hopefully not the last time that y'all are on here, part of the Rabbit Hole Gang, make the thing go bang. Like, y'all are part of the team now. So we'll do it again sooner than later. And obviously Shane, Josh, Alan, as always, thank you so much. And I say on every single show, thank you to the audience. Without you guys, there's no us. We're here for y'all. Find us. We're on Twitter. We're out, we're in the universe. You can comment on the blog itself at DomainSherpa.com. Just let us know if you questions, want to hear what's up, want to give us some feedback, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. You know where to find us. And otherwise, we'll see y'all next time on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains, and on the Rabbit Hole Gang. Down the rabbit hole, where all roads lead to NFTs. All right, take it easy, everybody. Peace out. We'll see you next time.
It don't matter what you do.